Hello and welcome to Ode to Games. I'm Kevin Valine, joined alongside Logan Plant. How you doing, Logan?
Good, Kevin. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. We've also got Zach Ross here as well. How you doing, Zach?
Hello, hello.
How's it going? All right,
Good to be
so
We're
back.
back.
I don't know. It feels like a long time since we
well,
recorded. I
last week
can't
was a little
explain
bit
why.
weird because it was all jumbled
Yeah,
up. We didn't talk about any
It was.
news. We had the Final Fantasy VII
yeah,
Remake spoiler cast. People were here and not here for a lot of things, so we're
yeah.
back to normal.
I was the only one who was gone for half of it.
I was gone for the
Well,
ending bit. I was gone
oh, you were.
for the
That was like 10
spoilers.
minutes. That's
hmm
true. I
Yeah.
really like talking about Final Fantasy with you guys.
It was
Yeah,
fun. It was a good time. But now we got
it
to get
was.
back to normal stuff, that being news. So, first, we'll catch up on some news that hit last week that we didn't have a chance to get to. The first being a new The World Ends With You game. Neo, The World Ends With You was revealed
Oh,
last week. It's coming 2021. Now, I have not played these games. So, I want to get your guys' opinions as people who have only played the Switch version of the original that came out a couple years
Yep.
back. What are your thoughts on this announcement of a new The World Ends With You game?
Well, I think that loyal listeners to the show will know our thoughts on this game. I just want to say that the title is a bit of a mouthful. Neo, the world ends with you. Like, shorten it a little. Come on.
They only added one
The world.
word.
I know, and it's already too long.
So
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 that
if
was
if
just
it was The World Ends With You too, that would also still be too long?
yes, absolutely.
should be the world ends with two.
Ah,
That's the reasonable way to go. But
then they got to fit that
so
into the plot somehow.
we played The World Ends with You. Me and Logan played it together a long time ago, years ago. How many years ago?
2 years ago.
Two,
Forever
just
ago.
2 years ago, like 8 years
Blowing
ago.
Zach's mind over here.
How
It
long do
feels
you
a
think I've
long,
known you?
We played that like
like
10 years ago
Yeah,
seven,
we were
eight
in
years. I
middle
don't know.
school.
on
All right.
the
Well,
Switch.
we played it a while ago on the Switch port. It's like shortly after it came out. I believe.
We bought it
Was
on
it?
launch day.
We bought it on launch day. I don't
What?
remember anything about this
That's
experience.
Zach.
The only thing I took away from it was how much I disliked that game. And it wasn't because there were aspects of that game that I really enjoyed. The music, the art style, really good. The gameplay, the dialogue, the characters, I just hated. I hated it all.
Wow.
It played like a DS game on the Switch. There was a lot of Joy-Con shaking, a lot of unsyncing with the cursor, like it was all over the
hmm
place. Hard to figure out. We played through, I don't even know, like an in-game week, and then it was like, okay, cool. The week resets, and I'm like, I hate it. I'm not going through this again.
Yeah, I think that it's a very stylish game. I think we liked the art. The soundtrack is
I
awesome.
love the art in these. The soundtrack I have
Mhm.
listened to since hating the game.
Yeah. But
Post
really what holds
hatred.
it back is the gameplay, because this was a game designed for DS and then roughly ported over to Switch. And in handheld mode, which we were doing multiplayer, so we didn't do it in handheld mode, you can still use the touchscreen to kind of circle enemies, to draw different shapes, to do different attacks, point, direct your character different places. But when it's on the TV, it's motion controls doing all of that, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't work. And that kind of ruined, I think, the entire experience, was just how bad the game controlled. It didn't make you want to do anything. And each person only played with one Joy-Con, which was annoying. And
Oh god,
it
the one
just
Joy-Con
didn't
setup.
control well. So this is coming to Switch and PS4 next year. This is a game
Yep.
not built for DS. It is built for these
Hmm.
consoles, these
Yeah.
current
Yep.
consoles. So I don't know. I think it could probably be a significantly better experience than The World Ends With You
Do we know how
ported to the
related it is
Switch.
to the first game? Because I
It's a
didn't actually look
prequel.
super into it. It's a prequel? Okay.
Yeah.
Since
So
it is being built from the ground up for not a handheld console, it probably does have a better standing in my head. I don't know if I'm going to try it out just because I did have that sour experience with the first one, but I can't imagine it's going to be as bad gameplay
Yeah.
wise. I'm sure it'll retain the same style and same style of music. Hopefully the characters are better because I hate it. I thought all the characters were annoying in the first one. I did not like any of them.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I don't know if it's worth it to play it if it's just like, I really like the art style and the music, the gameplay, the characters, the story.
Listen to the
Hated it
soundtrack.
all. But the soundtrack is worth the price of entry.
Just
If they
listen
ever
to the
made
soundtrack.
if they ever made an animated TV show, I'd watch it.
They are.
They are, yeah.
They announced that too, alongside this game.
So Zach, you
Never
gotta
mind.
watch that now. You
Well,
said it.
I've,
You have
I've
to
now
watch
just
it.
promised something that I didn't expect I'd have to pay off on. But I will be coming with my review on the TV show in the
Right.
future.
Nice.
Yeah, better or worse than the Sonic Boom TV show. That's the real
I've heard that
I've seen
thing's actually
clips.
pretty good.
I have heard it's good. Yeah.
I've seen some good clips. I've never watched an episode. I probably won't.
Well, hopefully this game controls a lot better now that it is being designed for not a handheld touchscreen
Watch
console.
it be the exact same.
Uh,
Controls.
It was
PS4
so
owners are just
successful.
like,
They
How do I
can't do
play
anything.
this?
They have to use the touchpad.
You're
on
holding the
PS4.
DualShock by one handle. Like you need a PlayStation Move controller to play Neo: The World Ends with You.
now when you're playing in handheld on the PS4, you gotta
You have
use the
to-
touchscreen
you
on
have
the
to use your
controller, the
PSP.
touchpad.
On the Vita, PS4.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
God, you gotta rip out a Vita. Vita required for this game. Dear God.
I could do it.
So, cautiously optimistic about that. And it's a prequel, so I don't need to play the first one, right?
You don't need to play the garbage version of the first game.
Yeah.
I guess not.
So,
Yeah.
that would help people. All right, so that's coming out. Other little bit of news from last week before we get into this week's news, just another delay. The Cuphead DLC is getting delayed to 2021. Logan, I know you're a big fan of Cuphead. Any thoughts on this news?
It's going to be an interesting competition to see what ends up getting delayed more, Cuphead or Cuphead's DLC. Because Cuphead took forever to come out too. It was delayed
that
so
got delayed
many
a number of
times.
times, right?
Yeah, and I think this is the third delay for this DLC. So it has been a long time coming. This was blamed on difficulties in development caused by the pandemic. So it does make sense. It's not too surprising because we have seen nothing
Everything.
of this
Everything
DLC.
has been delayed.
Yeah, but I'm excited to this DLC was announced when Cuphead was still an Xbox exclusive, and now it's on Switch and PlayStation 4.
That
and
was a while ago.
Is
Is
still
the
not
DLC
out.
only coming to Xbox?
It is coming to everything. There's going to be
Oh,
a
that's
physical edition on Switch when it comes out too, and that physical edition is going to have everything on the cart,
That's
which
cool.
is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one I'm honestly like not getting too excited about it because it just keeps getting delayed. So I'll play it whenever it comes out, but yeah, this is disappointing because it has been in the works for a long time.
It's kind of the same thing with Cyberpunk up until now, where it's just like I can't even get excited. I can't get excited about the date because it's just going to keep on getting pushed back. So I may as well just forget about it when it comes out. Like, woo, there it is.
At least this thing never had an actual date. It was just Windows. So
Yeah,
it
that
hasn't
helps.
been like that. But yeah, Cuphead is a fantastic game. It is so good. So I'm excited to just get more of it.
Yeah, that game would destroy me.
Yeah,
So
I still have
hard.
to play it.
You didn't play it, Zach?
I didn't. I thought about it, forgot about it, and then never played it.
Well, now you can wait for the version with all the content.
I would love to get the physical edition on Switch. That'd be super cool.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the actual bits of news from this week. Still not a whole lot. This week was pretty light on the news. Let's start with the Switch. It got a new update. Got backgrounds. And I haven't used them yet because all I've been doing is playing my PS4 because Yakuza is on there. Have you guys gotten a chance to mess around with the new update, including backgrounds?
No, I
have
haven't
not
gotten a
used the
chance.
Backgrounds.
Oh,
What?
good. None of us have experienced the background.
All right. So
Moving on.
We'll come at you with some thoughts on the backgrounds next week.
But it has there's some other features I have actually looked at. It has a way to transfer screenshots directly
I did see
to smart
to
devices.
smartphones. Super cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it actually is it's a big benefit for me and others who consistently write news about games and want to grab screenshots. And before, you would have to tweet them, then
Right.
quickly grab the screens and delete the tweet, so you didn't just tweet these random screenshots. But now you can. It's still a bit cumbersome. The process is really weird. Basically, a QR code shows up on your TV screen, and you have to scan it with your camera on your phone to link the two devices to transfer the screenshots or the video clips.
And that's
over.
just
Not that bad.
That's just a temporary link. That's just for that, and
Yeah.
then every time you have to do it again. Okay.
you have to do it every photo?
Or
You can
every
do 10 at a
batch?
time. Yeah.
Okay.
You can do 10 photos or one video at a time. And I don't know if you need to rescan the QR code like every 10 or if it's like it's linked, send 10 over, send 10 more. Like as long as you're linked, you can keep sending until you
As long
break
as
that
you're
link.
linked.
I'm not sure on that. But
Gotcha.
it is a little bit weird, but there's also a way to directly plug into your computer through USB now to also pull screenshots and stuff over straight from the console.
Seems like a no-brainer.
That's a
and
handy
it's
feature.
kind of weird that it wasn't a feature beforehand.
Yeah, the Switch UI has been so bare bones for the last 3 years, and they've just done nothing to it. Yeah,
Now
it's really weird.
Now it's here. Use the backgrounds. Does the PS4 or I guess PS5 now as well have a feature for sending to smartphones? Because with the share button, it was always just like send it to Twitter, send it to Facebook. I guess I never went too far into it to see if it transferred to smartphones, but I always just kept them on the console because I didn't want to post them to social media.
I'm not sure exactly. I'm pretty sure the PlayStation doesn't right now, but I believe the new Xbox app, it connects directly to your console, and so when you take a screenshot, it's just on your phone. It's just in the app on your phone. Is what I've heard about Xbox.
Then you can download it from there. Okay.
Yeah, but PlayStation I don't think has that yet.
As far as I know, PlayStation is you can transfer it to a USB device and get it on your computer. I don't know if there's a way to get it onto your smartphone, but I have used
you can transfer photos to an external, and then
it
seems a little bit cumbersome, but I guess all of these are kind of like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a new update there. I'm looking forward to testing out the backgrounds because it's just been a white background for so long.
Night mode on?
Years in, boom.
This I honestly like. I missed this part of the update. What are the backgrounds?
They just gave you some background options from a couple of different games. I think it was like Legend of Zelda and some other ones. It's pretty sure.
That is super awesome.
Am I just like fever dreaming that whole thing?
Did you make this up?
I could have sworn I saw it on social media when the thing dropped. And I remember that. And I remember seeing something on the smartphone thing. But the backgrounds was more interesting to me. So I forgot about the smartphones.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing. I honestly am not sure. Hold on. Let's pull up. I'm going to pull up
the... All right.
The
Maybe I just got like...
It added a really cool trending thing where you can see like what games are trending among your friends, which is pretty neat. Like you can see, 5 friends recently started Age of Calamity. Like you can see what's popular among friends, which is another thing it added. And then it also added that Nintendo Switch Nintendo Switch Online icon on the bottom row, line next to the eShop in the settings and things like that. So it's kind of useless because you can get to all that stuff through the eShop too. But there is now a Nintendo Switch Online tab down there as well, which lets you like launch into games that you can use it with, see what games it is compatible with, check your subscription and things like that. So those are all the main things that it added.
Man, I think I just fever dreamed that. I'm stupid.
I think you did.
Didn't?
Yeah.
I fever dream like a delay for the Sonic movie at one point.
Yeah. They added new icons for Mario's 35th anniversary that you can set your profile to.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Can you use them as a background?
Dang it.
You cannot.
Man, I'm never gonna live that down. Man.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe one day.
I could have sworn I saw that somewhere. All right.
You know, probably what you saw is people being like, please, Nintendo, let this be an option. And then they had these custom ones because people have been asking for that for years.
I don't know why they haven't. Or even just any way to change that. If we're going to do anything with the system UI, I feel like that'd be the one. Okay, well, keep waiting on that. I'm stupid.
Sorry to get your hopes up.
I'm dumb.
Hey, but we got it right on episode. We didn't have to come back next week.
Yeah, we didn't have to post an apology tweet.
I mean, I still am, but we can update now, and you don't have to wait a week to confirm that I'm stupid. All right, moving on from that. Kratos is in Fortnite. I've never played Fortnite, but it is a pretty big deal because we've got Kratos over here as a Sony icon, technically going multi-platform, at least in terms of his Fortnite appearance. And
it's young Kratos.
It's got to count for something, right?
Is it young Kratos?
Is it?
I didn't see a beard.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't remember if there is a beard or not, but I do
I
think
saw
this
a
is pretty
picture.
cool. I do think this is pretty cool. Just that we've seen crossovers before, like Marvel things, Star Wars things. He does have a beard. Uh,
so
Come on,
Dang it.
let's get our facts straight tonight.
Now we're all wrong.
He does have a beard, and there's a exclusive costume, I believe, if you have him on PS5. But I mean, he is on Switch. He's on Fortnite everywhere, so pretty cool. Their theme of this season is hunters, so they have the Mandalorian from Star Wars.
okay.
They have Kratos, Master Chief. Is pretty heavily rumored right now. I'm not sure exactly what's real or what's not. And
That'd
so
be cool. Master Chief
what's
on
left
Switch.
on the table is Samus, Nintendo's most popular hunter.
Yep.
So people are really thinking that Samus is going to show up as maybe like a Game Awards announcement or something like that for Fortnite, which would just be wild. I personally don't know if I can see Nintendo jumping on board with that. It's possible because Metroid is not that popular of a series. They have Metroid Prime 4 in the works somewhere. There's also been rumors of a new 2D Metroid. So it's like, yeah, if you want to give that series a shot in the arm, putting it in the most popular game in the world might be a good start for that.
Be a smart play. Or at the Game Awards, you announce that there's Metroid backgrounds for the Switch home screen.
You do,
Just
yeah, and Kratos
exclusively
with no
Metroid.
beard.
Kratos with
And
no
no bearded
beard,
Kratos.
only on Switch backgrounds.
Uh,
All right,
Yeah.
who's picking
So
up
I
Fortnite
think-
for this?
I am not. If Samus is in
Oh,
it, I would
Zach's in.
I'd probably try just to play Samus in Fortnite. But
you
I'd
would
probably
try
play, like,
Fortnite just if Samus was in it?
Yeah, for like 5 seconds.
Samus is gonna
and
do
then-
nothing. It's just a costume.
I don't care. It's cool.
All right, fair enough, I guess.
Yeah, why not? It doesn't hurt.
Yep.
It's free.
But you're not gonna play it for Kratos, your other favorite video game character.
No, I am not. I'll
Hey,
probably
how's-
play as Kratos.
How's God of War going, Logan?
Not well. I
Alright.
haven't touched
No.
it in quite some time, and I don't plan
2
to.
years, 2.5 years.
But is Fortnite the thing that's going to get you back into it? That's the
Oh,
Into
yeah.
God of War? No,
Into
no,
God
I
of
don't
War?
think so. I don't think so.
All right. Well, we'll see. Jury's still out on that.
Mhm.
All right. Last bit of news. This dropped just a little bit before we were recording this and then got pulled back. The trailer for Persona 5, is it Scramble? Scramble. Or is it
Strikers.
Strikers now?
Yes,
It's Strikers.
Strikers.
They changed it to Strikers. The Muso game for the Persona series. There was some worry that it wasn't going to be coming out in the West because it was not featured on some like fiscal earnings and things for Sega and Atlas. But according to this, that got pulled down, the trailer was out February 23rd, 2021, according to that pulled down trailer. It's probably true, but that's only a couple of months away.
Yeah, I think this is probably meant to be saved for the Game Awards. I would not be surprised at all. I mean, we're in that period where stuff is going to start leaking from that event, and I'm guessing this just got put up too early because it totally feels like that's when it would have been shown off. But yeah, it is good. There was a lot of worry this thing wasn't actually going to make it out here. They haven't been talking about it at all. It was pulled from their schedule. So yeah, it's good to see that it is coming out. And Age of Calamity just sold like crazy. It shipped 3 million units in its first week. So Muso spinoffs can be very successful. And this actually continues the story of Persona 5, right? So this is going to be one that a lot of fans are going to want to play.
Force me to play it.
It's got story.
Didn't Age of Calamity become the best-selling Warriors game in like
Best-selling game of all time.
Yeah,
3
or the
days,
fastest
basically?
selling, yeah. Yeah, which is it's pretty insane.
I don't think Persona would do
People
that
just
much.
want a Nintendo game right now. They just needed a Nintendo game.
That's true. It's also very good.
But yeah, good
Sure
to hear something from that because we haven't heard really anything about it in terms of when it's coming west until now. And hopefully we'll get some actual confirmation on that at the Game Awards. Most likely they'll actually confirm a February 23rd release date for that. But if that's true, it's really only a couple of months away. So I'm excited for that.
I know who's getting that for their birthday.
I don't want it.
It's okay.
I do not want it.
Come on, man.
I haven't even
Logan's
touched
birthday is, I
Persona
think,
5.
Persona
I don't
5
need to
Strikers,
play
play that one first. It'll really get you in there.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll really get you set up for the rest of the games.
Darn.
Really, it just made
All
me
right.
want a Mario Strikers game, man.
All right, I will get you Mario Strikers for your birthday.
I have it. I want a new one. Can you will a new one into existence for me?
I can
Dang,
try my
you don't
best.
have an old Strikers game to buy so that they make a remake or something?
No,
Yeah,
I
you,
don't. I
you
have
got them
both
all
of them.
already.
Well,
If
we're
I
out of
buy them, then
options.
they'll make
I don't think
one.
we're getting one, but we are getting the Phantom Strikers. So it's something. All
It
right,
is.
and that is it for news. A light news week, especially with 2 weeks condensed together. Not a whole lot going on there.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
why don't we get into what we've been playing over the last week? Zach, you Platinum Ghost. Just plow
Way to
through that thing.
spoil it. I
Sorry.
did. Okay,
But,
it's okay. I put an
I thought it
extra
was an
20 hours
accomplishment.
into Ghost just so I could platinum it. After beating it, I was gonna put it down, but then I felt like I wasn't ready to put it down, so I kept
good.
playing it. And then I'd gotten to the point where like I might as well just platinum it at this point. It's not a particularly difficult platinum to get. It just takes a little bit of time. I think the percentage is around 13%, which is a pretty high for a platinum trophy. So I put in the time. I ended up at around 52 hours. I think I beat the game around 32 hours. So the end game was a good amount of time. It was mostly farming the question marks on the map, just going from point A to point B, just getting all the collectibles and stuff like that. The nice thing about beating the game is that it actually puts on the map. If you liberate all the areas, it puts on the map all of the collectibles, so you don't have to like go hunting a lot of the time. It's very accessible for collectible hunting, which I thought was
that was really nice too.
Nice.
So it's basically just liberate all of the places in one area and then go get the collectibles in that area.
Yeah.
And then do all the side quests, which was the last thing I ended up doing was all the side quests. You do have to, some of them you have to go and find. By the point I had unlocked all the ones that I had on the map, there was like 4 left that I hadn't found. I had to look them up online. But the side quests don't take very long. One of the things is that I noticed is that all the side quests are extremely depressing. I was talking to Logan about this.
Yeah.
There's not a happy side quest in the game. At least with The Witcher, there was like, help these monsters out and have a good time. But every side quest in Ghost of Tsushima is like, go find my husband. Oh, you find him. He's dead. Come back. Tell the wife that he's dead. End of side quest.
Yeah,
that was
that's
like
it.
10 different.
Wife's
that was
like, thanks
10
for
of
letting
the
me
side
know, man.
quests. Yep.
Yeah.
And then they're like, why didn't you save him? And I'm like, I did everything I could.
He
Yeah.
was already dead.
That was upsetting. But
there's lines of like there's like almost mainline side quests. Like there are side quests that have story and cutscenes. But then there's just the Tales of Tsushima, which are just random one-offs. Those are not very good. The other side quests are good. They have like a thread through them. But it is like, please, he's been missing for a week. They took him down there. Okay, follow the footprints, kill all the bandits. Oh shoot, he's dead. All right, time to ride back.
When you get there, it's just like he's been gone for a week, and you're just like, he's dead. I can tell you.
You don't even have to
go
do the side quest.
I'm not.
He's dead.
I'm not wasting my time. He's gone.
So yeah, those were not the funnest part of the game. Definitely the story-based side quests and the main quests and all the other stuff. Amazing, absolutely incredible. I think in the end, I absolutely love this game overall. Not my game of the year because it's a hard year to compete with. But I don't regret platinuming it. It's my 10th platinum ever. So the big 1-0. One of my more earned platinums, I would say, out of all the ones
all the Telltale games.
Exactly. I don't even know if I should be counting those, but my current platinum number is up to 10. So yeah, and honestly, that was all I felt like playing. I'm glad now that I feel I got into the point where I can move on now. I wasn't ready to move on, but now I am. I think I've gotten to the point where I'm going to play a little bit more of that Dragon Quest demo, and then by the time I'm done with that, and I found out that the prize for beating the Dragon Quest demo is kind of lame, so now I'm a little depressed about that. Yeah, so
like an extra item?
Yeah, so I found out there was like a special thing you would get if you beat the demo, and it's just like a couple extra skill points, and I'm like, that's kind of lame, but like the seeds, the little skill seeds. So that's fine. But I want to do that, and then I'll probably move on to Cyberpunk by that time.
All right.
And then going into the new year, I got big plans for the new year.
Did you buy Like a Dragon? I assume you didn't.
I haven't bought it yet. I'm gonna kick off the new year with probably Like a Dragon. I want to play all the 3D Marios.
Somehow
Gotta
you're
get
gonna end up
those.
buying that game for like $60 when I keep sending you the links. Be like, hey, $35, dude.
Hey, this
Pick
this
it
game
up.
is $5. I'll wait. It's fine.
Oh wait, it'll drop, and then it's just like I want to play this. It's $60.
All right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel bad paying $60 for that game.
It's a great game though.
Yeah,
It's a great game. All right, Logan.
that's
what
what
have
I've
you
been doing.
What you been doing?
I beat 2 games
Woo!
this last week.
What's your count up to?
I think
you got a month left.
I'm at 45.
Oh boy, you got
45
5 more in you
games.
in
I think so.
4 weeks, something like that.
I'm only a couple hours from the end of Super Mario Sunshine, so there's another one right
Okay.
there. And then the Pathless is only like 4 hours long, and I'm like 2
Whoa.
hours into that. So there's
2
2,
games.
Okay.
and I can squeak out 3 more. I can do it. It's
You
gotta
say
happen.
that. You gotta
I'm
have a plan, man.
way-
You gotta sit down and really plan
You
this
can't
out.
be this close and not get it.
Okay, well, if it's like December 29th, Donut County is 2 hours, and it's on my Switch. Like I'm gonna
That's a
get
coward's way out.
You gotta take what you
Yeah.
can get.
Oh.
Cyberpunk, Dragon Quest 11, Yakuza 0.
All the big
No.
boy games.
No. So I'm definitely going to get there. Only 5 more to go. It's going to happen. But yeah, Sackboy is really, really fantastic. I loved it the entire way through. I feel like it's getting overshadowed a bit by Astro's Playroom just because it's the bundle in with the PlayStation 5. It's a 3D platformer. But Sackboy is so good. It's one of my favorite 3D platformers ever. Playing it multiplayer with my girlfriend was super fun. Just how much it consistently introduces new mechanics. Like every level has something unique or uses the previously introduced mechanics in a new way. So all the levels feel really different, but they still flow together nicely. Like it's not so jumbled that it doesn't feel like a cohesive game, but every level is so different. It's so much fun. Like there's like this honey that you can walk on. It makes your feet sticky so you can walk up the walls, and that's in like 5 or 6 of the levels spread out throughout the entire game. There's like grappling hook and just a ton of other gadgets that you get throughout that are just super cool and so clever in how they use them. The collectibles are just scattered everywhere. Some of them are pretty hard to get, which has made it fun to go back in and play levels over again. What I really appreciate is that after you grab a collectible, you can just back out of the level and it saves. You don't have to go all the way to the end of the level. Like if you miss
That's
the first collectible, you can just find it and then dip out. So that's making going back through and getting everything really cool. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. Yeah, I really, really recommend it, especially if you have somebody to play it with. It's only local right now, but they're going to patch in online co-op soon.
Okay.
And it's on PS4. You can play online when it adds. You'll be able to play online PS4 to PS5. So yeah, I definitely recommend this game if you like platformers because it is super good. It's really good. Another really good game that I also finished is Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. It is phenomenal. I adored it. As a huge Zelda geek, I just loved it so much. I think that if you don't love Zelda as much as me, it's still a really great game that you should try out, especially if you play Breath of the Wild. What I said last week about that stands that it's worth it if you played Breath of the Wild. But man, there's so much cool Zelda stuff in there. It feels like a Zelda game. I loved the story. The gameplay is awesome. Yeah, I adore Age of Calamity.
Story didn't go into the crapper at the end? Held up?
It did not. It did not go into the crapper.
All right.
The story is really, really good. Yeah, that's all I really want to say because there are some twists and turns for sure. But it's really, really good. And I love how it all wraps up. And there are probably 400 icons on my map of stuff to do.
God.
Like there is so much stuff in that game to do. I think my sister just 100%ed it. She's
Wow.
been playing like crazy. Yeah, she's been playing so much of that game. I think it's about 40 hours to 100% it. But yeah, we've been talking about it. Both my whole family is just huge Zelda fans, and so it's been a lot of fun playing that game and talking about it the last couple of weeks.
Nice.
You guys should play it. I recommend it.
It's down
I'll
the
think
list
about
for
it.
me.
I'll get
At
to
some
it.
point,
2021.
you should play it. I imagine that one will drop in price because actually, like this Black Friday was great for Switch games. Like
was.
Fire Emblem Three Houses was like $25.
Yeah, it was like 26, 27 from
came out last
GameStop.
year.
Yeah.
Already own that game.
Yeah. And Fire Emblem Warriors and Hyrule Warriors both dropped in price I think that because this game isn't made by Nintendo, it's like how Rabbids always drops in price. Like you can get that game for $15. I think in a year you could probably get Age of Calamity for $20-$25, and you guys should pick it up and play it because it's a really
in a year.
good time.
I'll do it.
Speaking of Black Friday, did you guys pick up anything?
Yes.
I was looking around. I ended up not getting anything.
Sounds like you, Zach. So all these great deals, I'm like, no.
I'm really bad with that. Like, I buy way too many things like full price because I don't hop on these deals.
All right, Logan, what'd you get?
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, baby.
Kakarot.
$15 at a Best Buy. So we'll see if I ever play it, but I want to.
Or it'll
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be like Wargroove where you just pick it up and just never touch it again. Hopefully you get some time.
How's Wargroove? How's that going?
It's good.
It's
I abandoned it about 30 minutes in. Yeah. Last thing I want to say real quick on Age of Calamity, though, there are some post-game characters that you unlock too that have nothing to do with the story, and it's just bonkers. And like they did what I kind of hoped they would do, and just have some random ads in there that don't really have to do with the story, and it's super fun. There's a lot. I was telling Kevin this on the show last week. There's a lot more characters than I thought there were going to be. The roster is pretty sizable, not as big as the original Hyrule Warriors, but there's a good number of characters in there that all play super differently. The ending missions of the campaign have some phenomenal twist characters you don't expect to join your party, and then they just roll in and you're playing as them in the next mission, and it's just awesome.
Did they add that character we were talking about?
No.
Oh, well, that's devastating.
Shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's super cool. Yeah, at some point I hope to talk about it more in depth when it's appropriate to mention.
Should we do a Hyrule Warriors spoiler cast?
It would just be one person at this point.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't care. I know some of the spoilers
It's just
because Logan talks to me
talking
about
himself for a little while. You do it. You can do it.
Yeah, the game took me 21 hours to beat, just the main
bad.
campaign. I kind of beelined it because I was so into the story that I was kind of even going in a little under leveled at the end. I had some difficulties in the last couple missions because the last few missions are so long and they keep bringing these bosses back. It's like you kill them, then they're like, "They're back! You got to go beat them again." I'm like, I can't do it. Yeah,
Stop.
yeah, but it's pretty generous with checkpoints though. In the main missions, you don't have to start over a 30-minute mission if you die. You only have to go back to the last checkpoint, which is really nice.
Good.
So,
real demoralizing.
yeah, super cool. If you like Breath of the Wild, if you like Zelda, you've got to play this game because it's so cool, and there's a lot of fan service while still remaining pretty grounded in its story. So, yeah,
Nice.
one of my favorite games of the year. It's a top five game in 2020.
It's Game of the Year? Game
Not
of the Year
really.
2020? Better than The Last of Us Part 2?
No,
Those are some big claims, Logan.
I did not say that.
Zach with the accusations.
Sorry, I got it.
We'll
very
get to that.
attacking
We'll
there.
get to our list in a couple of weeks. We'll get there.
We will, yeah.
We'll
Well,
sort all that
I
out in a couple of weeks.
I love end of the year shows. They're fun.
I know, I'm very excited.
Yeah. Is that all you've
I've
been
also
playing?
been playing Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
because of
Oh,
Age of Calamity. It just
Yeah.
has thrown me back into that world. But we're going to talk about that game a little later, so I'll pass it on to you, Kev.
All right. Played the PS5 for a little bit. I didn't
Nice.
buy one. I you think it's physically
We
possible
thought you
for
bought
me
one.
to.
you
at
sent
this
a
point.
misleading message
Sorry. Yeah, I
to the
wanted to
group
gauge
chat.
your
You were like,
reaction.
Kevin's
Uh,
PS5 thoughts, question mark? And we were
But-
like, Kevin bought a PS5?
Yeah, I caved. No, I didn't. But a friend of mine picked one up, and I was hanging out with him, and he's like, "Oh, you want to give it a try?" I'm like, "Yeah, I may as well." First off, that thing is massive. Oh my god!
It is.
Like,
It is huge.
Did you
Like-
get the chance to hold it?
I didn't want to worry.
Drop
him,
it?
So I just let it sit. But even just looking at that thing sitting on the ground, I'm like, man, this thing is maybe even a little too big for its own good, but it is quite big. It looks good though with its curves and everything. I think it looks good, but man, I feel like it's big, but until you see it in person, it's just like, yeah, you don't get that sense of scale. As for games that I played, I just played Astro's Playroom because that's in there, and then he also had Demon's Souls, so I wanted to try that out just for a little bit to see how that game looked. First on Demon's Souls because I didn't play it too much. I'm not a Dark Souls fan or anything like that. Game's gorgeous, as I'm sure everyone is well aware. That game is absolutely gorgeous. Runs like butter. Just I only played like the opening tutorial just so I could kind of get a feel of how the game looked and everything. So I don't have too much to say on that, especially since I haven't played the previous games. But I will say that game it looks incredible. That looks next gen for sure.
Yeah, if it wasn't
$70,
brutally hard and $70, because I wanted to pick that up because it looks like the showcase for the next gen system.
Graphically.
Yeah, it was tough for me to pass on that one, but it wasn't worth 70 to me when I don't think I'd be patient or skilled enough to get through a game like that.
Got to be the right kind of person for that. So yeah,
I don't think $70 is a good hopping in for the Souls series.
No,
especially when every other game on PS4 is $10.
Yeah. But yeah, so I played that for a bit. It was a good time for what I played. It was easy because I just played the tutorial. I didn't get obliterated or anything like that. And then for Astro's Playroom, from what I played about probably an hour and a half maybe. Those triggers, man, the adaptive triggers for like when you get into the little rocket to shoot yourself around, that is such a cool feeling of having that kind of give with the triggers and having to like hit it past a certain point for it to go. You can feel the rumble in the triggers and everything like that. The Astro's Playroom really shows off what the DualSense can do with the triggers, with the vibration that it gives you when he's like walking around and doing things. I didn't think it was overbearing or anything like that. I didn't think it was too much. I thought it was the right amount to keep me immersed. It really impressed me. And I know that you were talking about that before, and it's another one of those things where I was like, yeah, those adaptive triggers sound cool. And then you use them and you're like, oh no, these really are cool. Like,
yeah.
Like
it makes me want to play a shooter and just feel the different guns. Like
what's a good shooter on PS5 right now?
COD.
Yeah.
COD.
But Deathloop is one that's talking about using the triggers for every gun in a different way. So
I'm so excited.
Yeah, and like now, Kevin, like I think one of the things the Deathloop developers said was like your gun can jam and you physically won't be able to press the trigger down until you jam it. It's like, yeah, you know what that'll feel like now. Like that's really cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what other developers can do with the triggers, with the vibration that it gives you in terms of like, when Astro's walking around, you can feel the little steps and things like that. I'm excited to see what developers can do with games moving forward using those, because I was already immersed with Astro's Playroom, and that's a launch title. I'm hoping that they'll be able to unlock some more from that and really make some cool experiences with other games moving forward. But yeah, those are my thoughts. It's a good game. It was cool to see the little throwbacks to PlayStation. Those models of like the PlayStation stuff are really detailed. Just spinning a PS2 around and opening the disc tray a lot and stuff. And no loading. It was really nice coming from Yakuza Like a Dragon, where I'm sitting through a bunch of loading screens. It was nice to just be blasting through and not having to worry about that. It does push me more to want to pick one up, but not yet. It's not even possible right now. But I was impressed.
Yeah, and I feel pretty lucky because a lot of people are having a lot of problems with their PS5s right now. Like crashing. Like I see people saying, "Oh yeah, my PS5 crashes twice a day," like stuff like that online. I've experienced one crash during Miles Morales, and that's it the entire time. The one minor thing that's wrong with my PS5 is the fan makes a little clicking noise every now and then, but it's so quiet that I only notice it like if my volume is off. Like when I was playing Monster Hunter with Zach today, like I was like, "Oh, is that it? Oh, yeah, that is it." but if my volume's on, I can't hear it. So I feel like I've been pretty lucky with mine because a lot of people have had a lot of serious issues with it.
Yeah. You either
Rough
have a
launch for
PS5
the
with serious
PS5.
issues or you can't buy one to
Yep.
get those serious issues.
No in between.
Win-win. Win for everybody.
Mhm.
And then beyond that, more Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yeah, those loading screens, I'm kind of wishing I was playing it like on next-gen consoles. Like I've heard people playing it on Series X and they're just like, man, I don't have time to read any of these tips. And I'm over here like, yeah, I could cycle through like 4 or 5 of these bad boys and read
You know
through
all the
them.
tips.
Yeah, I can read through all of those. And it is frustrating me a little bit knowing in the back of my mind that the save doesn't transfer over to PS5. That bothers me a little bit because I'm sitting here putting in all this time. I'm 20, 23, 24 hours in and knowing that it can do that on Xbox and it just can't and is not going to be able to on PS5. And if I want to go back to that save to do extra stuff, if it's not on PS4, I can't do that. So that kind of bothers me. Just a little thought in the back of my mind as I've been playing through. One thing that I forgot to mention last week that has since been patched, which is great, is that now I can see enemy weaknesses. I thought it was kind of weird. I was looking through when I first started playing it. I was like, is there a way to see enemy weaknesses on the spot? Like you can go into your library of enemies when you're out of combat and look up their details and everything. But I was like, is there a way to do this? Lo and behold, it was a glitch. It was a bug that they patched out. It was supposed to let you know if an enemy was weak to an attack by if you selected an attack, then it would show above the enemy that you were targeting if they were weak or not. It would say weak or it wouldn't say anything. But that just wasn't in the game for like 2 or 3 weeks. So people played through that whole game without having that feature.
That's rough.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird that wasn't in there, and now I know why, because it was just glitched. So that's in there now. That's nice. That helps me a lot in terms of planning attacks, knowing when things are weak against. Because I was fighting things, and I'm like, how am I supposed to know if he resists this or not? Like, am I supposed to just memorize everything? But now that makes things a little bit easier. I'm on chapter 6. 23 hours in. I spent the last 4 hours of this chapter just doing all the sub stories. They're so good. Man. In true Yakuza fashion, you get to a new chapter, you see all the new sub stories that are unlocked, and then you just go do them all. And just ignore the story for a little while and just go do all the side stuff. They're all really good. Every time I go back to a Yakuza game, I appreciate how the sub stories and side stories are not just, I need you to get this thing for me. It's more focused on the story than anything. The main focus of the sub-story is the story. And then there's some combat elements that are thrown in as well, just doing a random fight throughout that story. And I really appreciate that. It makes them way more interesting, and it pushes me to do them more because they are their own little stories. And I want to try and experience all of them. So it's been fun going through and doing all of these. They're all great. Love them. I got to the kart racing, so that's been interesting. It's not Mario Kart. It's not that clean. It's pretty simple. The drifting is a little bit weird, to get used to. I'm running into walls a lot, but it's still fun to go through. Just collecting coins during the race to be able to unlock certain things outside of the race. You got drifts. You've got some items, just a couple of attacking items, like a rocket, some bullets, and things like that. And the thing is, if you hit enough walls, or if you get hit with enough attacks, then you spin out and you have to wait for your health to come back up before you can go again. The coins will refill your health. It's nothing super crazy. It's not going to blow you away if you're a kart veteran of Mario Kart or Crash with the new kart game that came out recently. But for what's there, it's a good time. And of course, it's got its own sub-stories and content, and a character who's a throwback to some of the older games who's running it. So that's been fun.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Now, I will say one thing that I'm not a fan of are the dungeons. So I've gotten to 2 dungeons. There was one at the very beginning of the game and one at the end of chapter 5, and they're just not very interesting. it's kind of a pace breaker because I was doing these big story beats, and then it was like, oh, you've got to escape this dungeon that you're in. I'm like, all right, cool. And then that proceeded to me running around the same corridor, just going up and down stairs for like an hour. It was not interesting. There were just enemies that were sitting there. I'd fight the enemies, go grab the items that are in the area, go to the next area, but it all looked exactly the same because it's all this underground area. And it's such a sharp contrast to the rest of the game where I'm like running around and everything's interesting because the map of Yokohama is great. And doing the fights around there's always something interesting to do. But when you're going through the dungeons, it really is just kind of a slow crawl to get out of there. And multiple times I was at the stairs. I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm done with this area. And then I walk up the stairs and it's like, no, you got a whole nother area to go through, man. I'm just like, oh. So that was a little bit disappointing. But everything surrounding that, all the story beats that were there before and after were great. It's just the dungeon wasn't too terribly interesting. At the very least, you got to do a really stupid Yakuza fight at the end of the final boss of that dungeon, which was cool. But the rest of it was kind of a slog, which is disappointing. But man, beyond that, I'm liking the combat more and more as I'm unlocking more job classes and skills and mixing and matching with different characters to see who should have a certain job class and what I should go into. Certain fights with the different weapons that you can unlock for all the different job classes. That's really opened up combat a lot more in terms of strategizing and how you want to go about it and make sure that you have all of your bases covered in terms of attack types for all the different jobs. Again, the sub-stories are great. I love the extra side story content with the main characters, being able to increase your social links with them. There's little bits of farming in there. You can buy seeds and plant stuff so that you can cook things and make bouquets and stuff. Nice. So I love that. Love planning stuff. It's great. I really like it. Now, I have one tip before I finish up here. One tip for people who are early on or haven't played it yet. Whenever you get to a taxi that you haven't used yet, even if you don't need to travel somewhere, make sure to use that taxi, because the only way that you can travel to that taxi in the map is if you've used it once before. So it makes fast travel way easier.
That's new.
Yeah. And you want to fast travel a lot because there are a lot of encounters that you kind of want to avoid. So recommend that whenever you run across a new taxi, make sure to hop in there and just travel somewhere, because then you'll be able to go back there again. Yeah, it's really good. Zach, you need to get on it.
I will. First game of 2021.
Is that one? Once you beat Cyberpunk?
Maybe.
Is that how it's working?
Once I beat. I feel like, yeah. I don't know where Miles Morales is right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking that as soon as I beat Cyberpunk, we'll see where I'm at, but it's probably going to be Yakuza.
You should. It's really good. And
yeah,
the hours just melt away when I'm playing that. I'll sit down at like 5 o'clock after work, and I look at my clock later, and it's 10 o'clock. It's just like, there goes all the hours. Just
Are you about halfway through the game-ish? Like 13-ish chapters? Do you know?
I haven't looked up the amount of chapters, but it's
I've heard it does take about 40 hours to beat, but it sounds like you're going a little slower than maybe others.
I'm usually about 10 hours over what the time to beat is, because I do all of most of the sub stories. So okay. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit before the halfway mark. Probably chapter 6 or 7 is the halfway point. But yeah, it's really good. Don't know when I'm going to finish it. Cyberpunk is bearing down on me. Sakana's just sitting on that shelf. It's a struggle, but at the very least, Like a Dragon's a really good time. And that's all I've been playing this week, Logan.
Nice. Well, then let's move on to the O2 segment this week. We're going to be talking about Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2 specifically. So, man, Age of Calamity just launched me deep back into the Zelda universe. I have just been thinking about it nonstop. It's been super awesome. And Breath of the Wild is a Zelda game that actually all three of us have finished. And we got a sequel coming. Don't know exactly when. No date, no window, no nothing has really been said about this game. But it is coming somewhere down the line. So I kind of just wanted to talk about Breath of the Wild, reflect on that game a little bit, and then also talk about what we want to see out of Breath of the Wild 2. It's a long shot for the Game Awards next week, but Breath of the Wild, the original, was revealed at the Game Awards multiple times. Like its first big gameplay showcase was there. The DLC where he rides the motorcycle was revealed there, and then a trailer a few months before it launched on Switch was also there. So Breath of the Wild's had a presence there. So you never know. That would be a bombshell if Breath of the Wild 2 did show up next week.
That'd be crazy.
We'll know by the time of our next episode. But I've been revisiting Breath of the Wild a little bit, and I think you guys know I have some mixed feelings on this game as a longtime Zelda fan, because I think that it is groundbreaking in a number of ways, which I think we'll talk about. But as a Zelda fan, I think it falls short in some of the things that I love about that series. That is namely dungeons, music, and story. I think are three weaknesses in Breath of the Wild, because the divine beasts and the shrines I do not like. They all have the same aesthetic, and it gets old after a while. The music, the ambient music with just like the little piano cues is nice in the overworld, but Zelda has so many fantastic themes and songs throughout its history, and then there's just not that many in Breath of the Wild. And then the story, Breath of the Wild, I think, is the best game I've ever played in terms of the player making their own stories. Like, I feel like you remember your own moments within that game that other people don't have. And I don't think any game does it as well as Breath of the Wild has. But that came at the expense of a real narrative told through the characters and the world itself, just relying mostly on those flashbacks, which were good, but there just wasn't that much of it. So those are the things I would like to see improved in the sequel. Kevin, let's go to you. What do you think of all those three things I just mentioned?
Yeah, I think of all of those, story would be the biggest thing for me, because there really wasn't a whole lot, and I understand why they did that, because they wanted to make the world as open as possible, and the way to do that is to have those memories where you're not railroaded to make sure that you hit these certain story beats as they want you to hit them, and the memories were able to be played out of order and still make enough sense. But I'd like to see them take a stab at making a more cohesive and a deeper story with more going on, because as it was with that original, and you could skip over the memories too, like there were just certain story beats that you just may not see, and that was the bulk of the story. You make your own stories, but I feel like I get more attached to the characters that were there if they did more, because you had the champions. And I honestly didn't really care about them too much, because they were barely there. They were just like, oh, they died. Here's some memories. So I feel like if they can find a better balance with the more open aspect of Breath of the Wild for the sequel, but also be able to add in some more story so that I can get more attached to some of the characters that either return or are introduced in a sequel, I think that would go a long way for me.
Zach?
Yeah, so a lot of what you guys touched on. I think that piecing the memories together, I don't like that. I wish it was a little more linear. I hope it does move in that direction to where we get stories from point A to point B instead of getting it jumbled up and all over the place and making your own kind of. I just wasn't a huge fan of that, especially when some of the memories could get left out if you do happen to miss them. One of the biggest things I disliked about Breath of the Wild was the weapon system. Breakable weapons, didn't like that at all. I thought it made weapons seem very, throwaway. If you ever found a cool weapon, you're like, great, it's going to break in a little bit. It's kind of pointless. So I think that even if they wanted to have like a durability like bar that you could see or able to repair your weapons, I think that's like, this is going to sound weird, but similar to how Minecraft does it. I
literally was about to say Minecraft. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would work well if they do want to keep the breakable weapons. I think that would be a good way to do it. I like the Sheikah Slate, I do, but I really miss traditional Zelda items like a accessible hook shot, stuff like all of the traditional kind of stuff, like the iron boots, the scepters, all that good stuff. I think going through the dungeons and finding the big chest and getting these items is a key Zelda moment, and the getting the items. So as much as I like the Sheikah Slate, I think it would do better to feel more like a Zelda game to have those traditional items, and make them give you more mobility in an open world, even though you can climb everywhere and you got the hang glider. Still find a way to work in how that would work. I like that bombs are unlimited in Breath of the Wild. I really do. I don't like having a bomb pouch, but even if they had to bring back the bomb pouch, I really wouldn't complain. So that's fine. I hated the dungeons. The divine beasts are super bland. Definitely more dungeon variety. Branch out a little bit, even if they go back to the traditional forest, water, fire, all that crap. I don't care. Just give us a little more variety. And other than that, just it's probably going it looks like it's going in terms of a Majora's Mask darker version of Breath of the Wild, like how Majora's Mask was a darker version of Ocarina of Time, which is cool. I think that'll be nice for the story. I think it could go in a good direction that way. But those are the things I'm most hoping to see in terms of change. Other than that, I thought Breath of the Wild was a really good breath of fresh air, if you will, for the series. But it did have moments where it didn't feel like a Zelda game where it should have. And I think that now that the game has gotten the criticism that it has gotten and the feedback, I think that they have a better sense of how to fix those issues.
Yeah, and it's the point of it was to break conventions, right? We knew that for years before this game came out, it was going to break Zelda conventions, and it did. And I think I said something similar about Yakuza 7 to Kevin last week, and that this was Nintendo's first attempt at doing something wildly different, and it was very successful. Like, we just kind of said all our complaints with it. Breath of the Wild's a phenomenal game. It is. It does so many amazing things, but I think the sequel has potential to be the greatest Zelda game ever if they take everything that was good about Breath of the Wild. The exploration is fantastic. A lot of it is really great, and then infuse some of those things that are missing from older Zelda titles, like the dungeon variety, like a more cohesive story. I think you have a perfect Zelda game. So I'm really excited to see where Breath of the Wild 2 does go, because I do think they've heard those things. I think they've heard that people missed good dungeons, and the shrines and divine beasts weren't enough. And so I'm just excited to see also how they make it work. If they still want the go anywhere, do anything mentality, how are they going to make classic Zelda dungeons work? I'm curious to see how that will happen, because sometimes you need certain items to get around the world. And the way around that in Breath of the Wild was, here's every item you need to get through the entire game right now, and the thing you get from the dungeons are powers. And maybe that's the same thing. I'd be fine with that. Just make better dungeons, because the dungeons in Breath of the Wild aren't good. But I do, going back to it now, I've been playing some Breath of the Wild recently, and since stripping away my expectations, knowing that it doesn't do a lot of things I love about Zelda, I think the open world is just amazing. I think the concept of it's up to you when you feel strong enough to go beat the game, that is just such a cool concept that I've never seen anywhere else really besides Breath of the Wild. That but it's not the same whatsoever. But you can walk into Ganon's castle with 3 hearts and just be like, let's do this. And that idea is just so cool, that it really is your journey and how powerful you feel like you need to be, how much of the world you want to experience before you go finish it. I just think that concept as a whole was incredible when I first played it, and I'm kind of rediscovering that, going back to it right now.
Yeah. I've played it a long time. I have a question for you guys. So we're talking about the open world, and I think we've mentioned this a number of times, both about Breath of the Wild and about Super Mario Odyssey, because they're similar in a lot of ways in terms of that first time that you play it is something special, because you're discovering all of these things and it's all new. And that's some of the charm of both of these games. Now, from comments that we've heard about the development of this sequel, it sounds like they're going to be reworking the world that was in Breath of the Wild as part of Breath of the Wild 2. What changes, or what do they need to do to the world to try and get some of that feeling back? Because you're not going to get it 100%. If it's a similar world or the same world again with new elements added in, you're not going to get the exact same sense of new exploration. What would you want them to change about the world for a sequel to kind of get that sense of exploration back again?
So Do we care about spoilers?
For it's
Breath
been
of the
3
Wild?
years.
Spoiler
was-
warning
um,
right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Go for
cool.
it.
So since Ganon is defeated, shocker, at the end of Breath of the Wild, it makes sense story-wise that there's gonna be a livelier open world, because the open world is kind of bland in Breath of the Wild. There's a lot of open space where nothing's going on. So it makes sense that there's human expansion. Hyrule Castle's getting rebuilt. A lot of more people are around. That would make sense. If they are using parts of, like, if it's the entirely same map, it's gonna be boring unless they add new towns. There's got to be new stuff. It's got to be livelier. There's more stuff to do, because just going around, people who love this game have explored the map top to bottom. They want to see something new. So either add a mirror world. I don't know. I like Link to the Past.
Oh, you mean, I thought you meant mirror the world of Breath of the Wild.
Oh.
No, don't literally mirror it. Add like another dimension that's darker, and that's what the game is in. So it's like a Link to the Past. Spoilers for A Link to the Past.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things they can do to freshen it up. I actually agree with Zach. One of my theories is that there will be expansion. I think there will be more settlements and more towns that we didn't see in the original. That's what the ending of Breath of the Wild is all about. The secret cutscene you get, if you get all the memories, is Zelda and Link basically setting off to rebuild together and kind of lead that. So, yeah, I do think there's going to be more villages to visit, which I think would be good. I think there's going to be more new areas than people think. I think that if it was the exact same world as Breath of the Wild, this game would be out. And I think that the only trailer we've seen for this is Zelda and Link exploring some underground catacombs we've never seen before. So is there some huge underground network underneath Hyrule of places we haven't been before? That's what I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot underneath Hyrule. I think that would be super cool if there's just this whole discoverable world underneath the mountains and hills of the Hyrule you explored in the first one. And some of the fun is finding new ways to access that. And that can kind of act as its own dark world, right? If there's just this underground where maybe people escaped when the calamity broke out 100 years ago. They like went underground to build settlements down there. There's just all this stuff that is completely new to Breath of the Wild too, I think. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And then in that trailer, Hyrule Castle lifts up out of the ground. What's under there? Like, is that how Link and Zelda discover that there's all these places underneath the surface? Like, that's kind of my working theory right now, is there's going to be more stuff besides just a reused world.
So hopefully there's a lot of new stuff so that they can get that sense of exploration again. I definitely like to see a lot more villages. I know that was in the spirit of the game, the fact that the world had been basically destroyed and that there was only a couple of settlements here and there that survived. But I do think the world could be more interesting if there were more villages and more settlements dotting around with more characters to interact with and visit. I think that could go a long way. And then, of course, having an entire area underground would be super cool. Some sort of catacombs or something like that. Not just kind of
just a couple other ideas to freshen up the game. I think enemy types are sorely lacking in Breath of the Wild. You have the moblins and the bokoblins and the skeleton versions of them. And Choo-Choos and the Lizalfos.
Lionels.
And then the big bosses.
The like Lionels. I love Lionels.
The Stone Taluses and the whatever the big guys are, Hinoxes. But that's about it. Like, there are not that many enemy types in Breath of the Wild. So, I mean, bring back Dark Nuts. Like, bring back these classic enemies that are just totally missing from Breath of the Wild. And again, I think that's a thing of, it just wasn't the focus of the original. The focus was building a world's
better boss battles, man. The Blight Ganons are not enough.
The best boss battles are the Stone Taluses and the Lionels.
Yeah.
And there's the stuff you run into are the best fights in Breath of the Wild.
That desert thing, what was that thing? Like a desert shark.
The Molduga.
The Molduga.
Yeah, that thing was cool. I also want more non-dungeon moments, scripted moments, like infiltrating the Yiga hideout is one of my highlights of Breath of the Wild. I love that part of the game. It is so cool. It is a huge callback to Ocarina of Time's stealth section. It's just awesome. So more things to run into like that, even if they're optional. Just more, I guess, quests that you stumble upon, because there's the side quests, which are, they're kind of hit or miss. It's mostly delivery side quests. There's some good ones in there.
The Koga boss fight was really fun.
Yeah, Yeah, using the magnesis to drop
Yeah.
the spiked ball on him. That
Mhm.
one was super cool. But
Also,
yeah,
I think about Terrytown a lot. I like Terrytown.
yeah. So just more stuff like that, because I did love exploring that world, and I totally got what they were going out for. I've also been dabbling in the original Zelda a little bit this week, and it easily Breath of the Wild feels the most like the original Zelda. Just you're plopped into this world, you can go anywhere. You'll get your butt kicked if you go some ways, you'll be fine if you go others, and it really does feel like a big callback to the original. And it's super cool, and I almost feel like I'm gaining more of an appreciation for it now. But the sequel, there's a lot that I want that I think could make it one of my favorite games of all time. If it adds these things that I'm talking about, it would just be phenomenal.
Something that Breath of the Wild introduced that I liked that might not, it doesn't matter if this is in the sequel, but I would like to see it expanded upon is Link's house. I think if they gave us an option of where to put Link's house, maybe some more customizable options, turn it into more of an Animal Crossing type situation,
Dude.
I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't know. They don't have to add it, but I think it'd be cool if they did.
Speaking my
Yeah, I
language
wanna-
right there.
I want to ask.
Exactly.
We've been talking about what we would change or add from Breath of the Wild. Kevin, what did you like or love about Breath of the Wild that you want to see preserved moving forward to a sequel?
Well, I mean, it's kind of changing it, but again, that sense of exploration that was there. Obviously, they have to make changes for that, but keeping that intact, I think, is really key, because that is one of the magical things about Breath of the Wild is its sense of exploration. And if you're able to get that sense of exploration again with the sequel, I feel like it'll be able to surpass it with the other things that it adds if it can keep that and then improve on all the other aspects. As for things that I would keep the same, completely the same, man.
I have something.
Okay, Zach, if you want to go,
If you want to think
of
about
some.
it.
Yeah,
I
mull it
did
over.
pour some hate onto the breakable weapons, but the weapon variety itself, not limiting you to the Master Sword, I love that a lot. You know, the spears, the great swords, the regular swords, the shields.
clubs,
The clubs, super cool. I love that it gives you options if you don't want to just use the same sword over and over again. I like that a lot. So if they just keep that variety of different options of what to use, while having the either repairable or non-breakable options, that's what I'm looking forward to. I love that in Breath of the Wild.
I think one of my answers is just kind of the practicality of everything. Like some of the stuff, I'm not creative enough to do this, but just the stuff people figure out with the sandbox that Nintendo
Like
created.
interacting with the world.
Oh yeah, I've seen
it's
some
like,
crazy stuff.
Oh, if it's and just kind of the world things, like, oh, if there's lightning out and you have a big metal rod on your back, you're probably gonna get struck. Or just all the stuff that just makes perfect sense. Like, it's so cool that if you think of a way to solve a puzzle in a shrine or defeat an enemy, you can probably do it. Like creating an updraft with a fire choo-choo, jumping into it, sailing up, doing something else. Like, there's so many possibilities with the magnesis and the stasis and the cryonesis and the things they created that it just works. And Zelda previously, it's like there's one solution to every puzzle, is always how Zelda has worked. But in Breath of the Wild, it's like, no, there are dozens and dozens of solutions to every puzzle. And I can't think of really other games that do it as well as Breath of the Wild did. I think that was one of its strongest points.
Yeah, keeping the powers that you get with the magnesis and the cryonics, I think they work really well with the world, because they work really well in being able to change the world around you. And I don't think they really need to make any changes to those specifically. I mean, depending on how they want you to get them or upgrade them, I guess you could change that. But in terms of the powers themselves, I don't think that's something that needs to be changed with those.
I think if they do keep all the powers, I would like to see like a slightly modified or upgraded version of each power, just so it's not stale. Like just add a little tweak to like different kinds of bombs, not like round or square bombs, but like, I have no examples off the top of my head, but you get what I'm saying. Just keep it lively.
I feel like with a lot of these things, it's not that I think that the ideas are bad. I think that a lot of the really good ideas that it has just needs tweaks. Like, for example, Zach talking earlier about the weapon durability. Maybe you don't necessarily have to get rid of that, but give the player more of an idea of where their weapon is at and be able to upgrade it so that it either takes more hits or you can fix it so that it doesn't, so that you get more uses out of it. That could solve the weapon durability problem, giving you more options in terms of crafting so that you have more uses for all of the items that you're picking up in the world, but not necessarily get rid of the crafting system that's there, just expand upon it. And I think that is because that this was a new game that Nintendo was making, and for all of the great ideas that they had, maybe they weren't able to flesh things out as much as they wanted to because they were working on all of these other areas. And now they've got a chance with this sequel to take some of those things that are great ideas, but just need to get fleshed out a little bit more, like the crafting, like the weapon durability, and improve on those for the sequel.
Yeah. Because really the best thing about Breath of the Wild is its sense of exploration. And I also love how this is something I think will be a little tough in a sequel because you're so powerful by the end of Breath of the Wild. How are they going to do this? But you felt weak and scared at the beginning of Breath of the Wild. Like the first time you encounter a Guardian, you can't do anything to it. And it's such a cool feeling for probably the first 10 to 15 hours of that game where you're frightened of the world around you. And that kind of goes away as you get more and more stuff. But I loved that first 10 or so hours of the game where it's kind of unforgiving for a while. And that's something I hope they recapture too.
They're going to have to find a story reason to nerf Link again like they did in Link's Awakening, where he just wakes up on an island with nothing.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see too. But yeah, I'm super excited to hear more about this sequel at some point. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun going back and rediscovering Breath of the Wild a little bit this week. I'm probably going to stick with it for a bit. I'm actually playing 2 files at once. I'm playing my original file on Switch and just gathering some stuff, and then I started a new file on the Wii U version.
Oh my god!
For the first time, and I've just been running around on that, having a good time.
Noticeably worse? Question mark.
No, not really.
Yeah.
It is noticeable, but it's totally fine. Like it still looks good. But yeah, I'm excited for Breath of the Wild too. It's been a long time now. Since the last 3D Zelda, coming up on 4 years since Breath of the Wild, which is kind of hard to believe.
4 years ago that thing came out, that the Switch came out with it.
Yeah, but I also last thing I want to say is I love Ghost of Tsushima does this a little bit too. It totally, I think, kind of borrowed this idea from Breath of the Wild in that in Assassin's Creed, you climb to the top of a tower and it litters your map with icons. In Breath of the Wild, you climb to the top of a tower and it's up to you to scout out and go somewhere to see what you want to do and explore. So it's really you going where you want to go rather than the game telling you where you should go. And I think that's something that Breath of the Wild did really well too, because open world games really overwhelm me where it's like, oh, you scan at the top of a tower in Assassin's Creed and it's like, go to all these places. Breath of the Wild, it's like you climb to the top, you're like, oh, I see a shrine. I'll mark that myself and go to it. And then along the way, stuff happens and you get sidetracked. And I think that's where that game really excels, is in those moments where you just get sidetracked by thing after thing after thing. And I think of the open world games I've played, Ghost came close, but I think that Breath of the Wild really excelled at that. And just that drive to keep exploring was really good. And it didn't feel like a checklist, which I think a lot of open world games feel like.
Yeah.
You're checking off boxes, when Breath of the Wild really did feel like organic discovery, which was its greatest strength.
Yeah. That sense of discovery, got to keep it there for the sequel. Whatever you can do with the new content that you add to make it feel new again.
For sure. I think that's going to do it for us this week on Ode to Games. Kevin, any last words to share?
Any last words? My call. It's out next week. Screw you, Cyberpunk. They're gonna shadow drop Breath of the Wild too.
Just
same day as
over CD Projekt Red
to just destroy.
Yeah, Zach, when do you think we're gonna see Breath of the Wild 2?
I would put my actual prediction at November 1st, 2021.
Okay. Kevin, do you want to make a real guess?
All right. Let's see. I'll go a little bit earlier. I'll be a little bit more optimistic and give it a early September launch of 2021.
That'd be awesome.
I'm not going to pin it to
I'll
give it to September.
I think Zelda game has never not been delayed. They always get delayed.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be announced as their big fall game and get pushed to March and come out on around the 5-year anniversary of Breath of the Wild in March of 2022. Is my guess. I think it's a long time coming.
Hopefully, because they've got Breath of the Wild 1 there, that this one won't need a delay, but you never know.
I would love to be playing this game a year from now and talking about it for the best games of 2021. That would be phenomenal. But yeah, I'm just in a Zelda mood. Like, next year's the 35th anniversary of Zelda. I hope they do some big things.
Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild 2?
Breath of the Wild 2.
They got to get it out.
Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. Just bring them over. Just bring them
real quick.
Don't give them a removal date, please.
Yeah.
Oh God. Available for a week.
Oh my God.
All right, that is going to do it for us. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Ode to Games. Find the show on Twitter at Ode to Games. Email us, odegamescast@gmail.com. We also have a website, odetogames.com. We're on Twitch at Ode to Games. We're everywhere.
We're on YouTube.
Ode to Games.
We got the video podcast.
Any website.
Yeah,
Probably
see,
there.
if you search us anywhere.
Follow our
you'll be
Facebook
able to
page.
find us.
Don't do that. We're not.
Oh,
You won't
we
find
don't
us.
have a Facebook page.
No, we're not on TikTok. We're not on Snapchat. We're not on Facebook. But we are on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube, and you can find us there. For Kevin and Zach and Joseph St. Cloud,
Oh yeah.
thanks so much for listening, and we will catch you guys next week.